Hello and welcome to Educated STEM. I'm Kate, the founder of Educated STEM, and today I'm going to talk about how I overcame a fear of public speaking. And so I can actually name the exact moment I became scared of public speaking. And it was during my undergraduate. All throughout high school, I participated in class. We obviously had to read out Shakespeare and other things in English. We had to answer questions, and I was okay with doing that. So I was completely fine in high school. But in my third year of my undergraduate, so I did something called a sandwich degree in the UK. And in your third year, you have to leave and you have to get a job somewhere else. And then you come back in your fourth year to finish your training. And so I came to America. If you've watched my video where I talk about the lessons that I've learned or about my previous career, then I have mentioned that before. And I was doing cancer research for the first time. And I was asked to give a talk at a regional cancer meeting. And so it was the first time that I would have spoken in front of audience. I made the presentation. I practiced it with the group. It was fine. I went along to the meeting. I was nervous beforehand. Don't get me wrong. I was nervous, but the presentation itself went well. And at the beginning of my presentation, I had specifically mentioned that I was an undergraduate student who was visiting, implying that I wouldn't be able to answer very detailed questions because I just didn't have the knowledge. And I had hoped that that meant that the audience would go more gently with me in question time. Unfortunately, there was a gentleman in the audience who I later found out had an issue with my PI, and he asked questions which got more and more aggressive. And obviously, the more aggressive he became, the more anxious and worried I became. And the postdoc who was training me at the time eventually had to get up and answer the questions for me. And instead of being relieved that the presentation had ended, I ended up feeling humiliated because I couldn't answer the questions and terribly embarrassed. And I don't know why he decided to be that aggressive. Maybe he decided he was going to upset my PI. My PI wasn't even at the meeting, so he had absolutely no idea. But it definitely affected me for many, many years. I remember being incredibly nervous at the presentation that I gave when I was interviewing for graduate school. And every single presentation I gave in graduate school was terrifying. To the point where in my final year, I got sent off to presentation skills. And one of the things that they had you do was just talk about anything. It could be a hobby, it could be a book, something that you chose that you felt that you could talk about. And they filmed you talking about it. And then they played it back at a higher speed so you could see what you were doing. So if you had repetitive movements, if you said something repeatedly, if you ummed and ahed all the way through, then it became very obvious because in the faster playback that yes, it sounded high pitched and squeaky, but it became very obvious that I touched my hair a ridiculous amount. Like I was preening, I was constantly touching it. So the first thing I did was when I presented, I tied my hair back because then the thought of me touching it is gone. I don't have it to play with, so it's not there. I automatically look more confident. I hope sometimes I touch my hair in videos, but it's nowhere near as much as I did 20 years ago. And I also realized that when I was watching the video back, that even though I had been unsettled and it felt like I had a herd of elephants in my tummy, that you couldn't tell that I was nervous on the playback. I looked relaxed. I looked like I was potentially enjoying myself. And generally when I give a presentation after a minute or two, I am enjoying myself. So it's just for that short period of time at the beginning that I have the nervous flutters, but you couldn't tell. And that definitely helped my confidence, because I realized that even if I'm stressing out on stage, the audience probably doesn't know. So that was very, very helpful to me. And I then started leading or joining meetings. So it's not presenting, but it's talking in front of a group of people. So I became involved with the National Postdoctoral Association Outreach Committee. And every month we had a phone call and we discussed the tasks that we were doing. And over time, I became comfortable talking with the people on the committee, talking with my peers. And that was over the phone, so I couldn't see them. So that was okay. Then I joined the board of directors, and eventually we started teleconferencing. So you could see the people. But by that point, I had become more comfortable at the idea of speaking in a larger group. And obviously, when you're talking about a group of PhDs, everyone has an opinion, and a lot of people do want to share it. So, kind of interjecting as an introvert can be challenging, because you're like, ooh, I just want to say something. Ooh, can I get in there? So it definitely helped my confidence, because I had to speak up. I had to get involved. Then I started leading the calls because I became the board of directors, or the chair of the board of directors. So that was also pivotal, because you have to ensure that everybody is heard. You have to keep the meeting moving along, making sure that you get all of the tasks done in the meeting time. And so that was helpful as well. At the same time, my institution had me giving regular talks every 2 weeks to the new employees about the research and education that was performed on campus. So I was giving the exact same presentation, and I must have given it every 2 weeks for years. And so even though I could have given the presentation in my sleep, I still got the flutters beforehand, as I was walking up to turn around and talk to, potentially 50 to 100 people every single time. I still got the flutters, but I also think that maybe it's just the fact that I am always going to get a little nervous, because after a minute or two, again, the flutters go, and I'm enjoying myself being up on stage. So it's completely fine. They also had me going out and giving talks to local groups. And sometimes the people, when I got there, said, oh, we wanted you to talk about this, but would you be able to discuss this instead? And so, turning on a dime and being like, oh, I can talk about that. Again, that just helped build my confidence up. So I will say that practice definitely helped. The watching the videos back of me talking were vital, because I didn't realize how much touching, all the little mannerisms that you might have might put off your audience or distract your audience. Because if you want to make sure that they're paying attention, you want to make sure your movements and things are appropriate to make sure that they are paying that attention at that point in time. So presenting regularly, being on these committees where I had to talk in front of, 12 or more people, and making sure as an introvert that I shared my thoughts, definitely made sure that when I'm now presenting, I'm much more comfortable. I still get the flutters, I still do, but I don't think you can tell. Let me know if you see me publicly speak. Let me know if I do look nervous. But don't let me know, because that will just make it worse. But I got over my fear. I'm anxious. I'm a little anxious beforehand, but I can do it. I know I can do it. And so can you. So how are you going to overcome your fear? Practice. Go and do what I did. Do some presentations. Maybe you want to join something like Toastmasters, where that you get the opportunity to publicly speak about a variety of topics. Everybody in the room is hoping that you do well. They're supportive. They want you to get better. And so that is just a great environment for someone who wants to work on public speaking. And I know lots of people where English isn't their first language, and that is how they became more confident speaking English, was to go to something like Toastmasters, which is so supportive and helpful. So if you have this issue, look up your local Toastmasters chapter and figure out where you can go to get that practice. And you can film yourself. Everyone usually has a phone or something. So do what I'm doing now. Talk and see what do you do? Do you have any nervous tics? Do you look nervous? Do you touch your hair too much like I did? Do you and ah your way through? Are you pushing your glasses up? Or if you're stood up when you're doing it, are you moving from side to side or rocking or doing something off-putting? It's only by watching yourself back that you're going to learn these things. Then you can focus on getting rid of them. And that will definitely also aid your confidence when it comes to presentations. I will say that doing things like the YouTube channel is still terrifying. And I like to talk about things that I'm confident about. And I plan and prepare in order to do so. And so that is another way that I'm helping my fear of public speaking, because if I'm talking at a conference or something, then usually you have the hour that I'm on stage to watch me. The YouTube stuff, it's going to be up there, potentially forever. So it's a little daunting. No one's been mean so far, so that's good. But if you also have a fear of public speaking, then you can also work on it and you can become more comfortable like I did. So I hope that helps. I look forward to hearing, so write in the comments about what you have done to become more comfortable in front of an audience. Maybe you have different advice to me. And like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.